Hi, my name is Jenifer Willig, and I am the co-founder of a company called Whole World Water and a company called Motive. And I'm going to stick to my notes because if I don't, I will keep talking. But I'm going to talk a little bit about my path to social enterprise, and more importantly, really my passion for scalable solutions. So I'll start. I recently listened to an interview by Margaret Atwood. I don't know the author, Margaret Atwood. And she was asked what her favorite word was. And she said it was the word "and" because it was so hopeful. And that really stuck with me, that there is always something coming. And I think it especially today, considering that the UN right now is gaveling in the Sustainable Development Goals, really centered around poverty, disease, equality, and climate change. So while there are many challenges that the world is facing, and there are so many incredible companies that we're hearing from, there's a tremendous amount of hope to overcome these challenges with very real solutions. I also think that sentiment kind of defines how I approached my career in finding social enterprise and entrepreneurship, because it certainly didn't start out that way. I graduated from grad school in 1993. So a long time ago. I never thought I would start my own companies. I actually didn't even know what social enterprise was, to be honest. I mean, back then, I don't even think there were social enterprises out there. There were philanthropy and nonprofits. And I began my career in advertising. One, because I loved the people, I loved working on big business and big brands, but most importantly, I loved using creativity to solve business challenges. And my first step into social enterprise was I had a very long career in advertising. I was running an agency. I was running Levi's globally. And I got a call to join an organization called RED and to be the CMO. And everyone that I worked with in advertising thought I was absolutely insane to do this. At the time, I hadn't even heard what RED was. I certainly wasn't a volunteer around the AIDS crisis, not because I didn't want to. It just wasn't something that had kind of impacted my life. And I knew nothing about the AIDS pandemic. But I talked to RED for a long time, and what I really did was fall in love with the business model. It was quite different for the time in 2006, and at its most simple, it was profit for purpose. But it wasn't just the business model. So I went to RED because of the business model, but I really fell in love with how it impacted the issue. It looked at it from a profitable standpoint, but it also looked at it from being able to talk about social issues without, as we call it, the flies in the eyes. Really being able to be energetic, being able to be solution-focused, really being able to coalesce people and excite them about being a part of a solution. And that wasn't something that was really happening then. And it was about a very small tweak. It was about living with HIV, not dying of AIDS. And I think that's a very important point of this. So as much money as RED has raised, $350 million, I think the bigger impact is that it coalesces consumers and it actually radiates up to heads of state to be able to take notice of a crisis that is killing 3,000 people every day still. But RED was an amazing journey for me for 4 years, and one of the things, it inspired me to actually start Motive because I could see, as many slings and arrows as RED got in the early days about being about just a campaign or just about marketing. I can tell you that is absolutely the least of what RED was. I really got to see behind the curtains of some of the biggest companies in the world, from Apple and Starbucks and Nike and Dell, and the list goes on, with the genuineness with which they approached trying to solve this. The last thing it was about marketing, because you had to get it in front of the consumers. But the first thing was about how do we make this a part of our revenue stream? How do we make this a sustainable part of our business over the time that we've committed, which tends to be multi-year. So that when I left, when I was working at RED the last year, I started to get an itch. Why is it only that RED is existing, RED is a machine right now, and we're helping to solve the AIDS crisis, but why is it just about AIDS? Shouldn't I be able to talk to any company and align their missions with their business? So I decided to leave RED and start Motive, and at Motive, we work with corporations to prove, position, and scale their social impact. Proving that economic and social progress are not mutually exclusive. And I think scaling social impact is critical. I mean, there's so it won't be done without the private sector, and there are so many incredible organizations. Greystone Bakery, I thought that was an incredible example, and I think a model that sounds very innovative, but actually is quite scalable across many, many different types of industries. So every day we're working with companies like Morgan Stanley around sustainable investing, with Gap around youth underemployment, Old Navy around childhood education, Getty Images around reframing women in industry. And we look at everything from strategic positioning and language to revenue modeling, campaign development, and quantifying impact. And I think perhaps the most exciting initiative at Motive right now is working on the adoption of sustainable investing. You know, today we have a vibrant landscape of sustainable finance solutions. It's not all about impact investing, and we're really looking at breaking the myth that sustainable investing is simply a niche impact investing market or a sacrificial lamb of your portfolio, which many people think it is, and that is absolutely not the case. I will say that, you know, not to get too statty because I won't be able to read them, but there is a recent report by Morgan Stanley. Sustainability-focused mutual funds, just as an example, had equal or higher returns and equal or lower volatility 64% of the time. This is not a niche industry. Right now, they're expecting that sustainability-related business opportunities could be $10 trillion, or almost 5% of GDP by 2050. Currently, I think there are, I want to say, $12 trillion under assets under management. But this is not a niche opportunity anymore. And the challenges that we're facing as a world need sustainable finance solutions to be able to fund them. So the proof is there, and I think, you know, so scaling these solutions with a funding model is a part of it, but I also think not enough people know about the types of issues. So scaling awareness and engagement is a very tricky issue. Getty is another example of a partnership where we're working with Getty Images, and we facilitated a partnership with Global Goals that you'll be seeing a lot this week. So as a partner, they are the perfect example of really how to bring knowledge to people. You know, a picture, Getty Images photographers specifically are at the forefront of so many of these issues, and a powerful image can stop people in its tracks. But more importantly, it can change minds and behaviors. So this one example, taken in 1987, I think, was the first time that a woman of celebrity, that's Princess Diana, held someone with AIDS. And it really did an incredible amount to destigmatize the disease. And we've just progressed from there. And to steal a line from the campaign, you know, the difference between looking and seeing is the power of the image. So hopefully you'll be seeing these ads throughout the week, but you're really using the opportunity of the business stage to be able to change hearts and minds. And then my second company is called Whole World Water. And Whole World Water, as much as scaling funding and scaling awareness, being able to scale social enterprise around new business models is critical. So Whole World Water is a very simple model, and I will hope that the next time we have this, we don't have plastic bottles up on the stage, because we do work with hotels and restaurants to replace commercially bottled water with filtered tap water. We look at it as a win-win-win-win. So our hotels and restaurants are reducing costs, they're increasing profits, they're significantly reducing plastic waste, and they are significantly increasing funding for clean and safe water initiatives around the world, with 1 billion people living without it today. So I know I'm running late. Oh, no, am I okay? I keep getting a few minutes there. But I want to leave you, I have a lot more to talk about, but I actually want to leave you with 2 calls to action. I think that we need people like you to think of business as a force for good. Obviously you are, but we need not only innovative, scalable solutions and stronger collaborative models, not just in terms of unique technologies and infrastructures, but funding models, business models, resource collaboration platforms. There's so many incredible work being done on the ground, and these small NGOs and these small charities don't have a platform to be able to share it. And I think one of the things that we're most proud of at Whole World Water is the Whole World Water Fund, and being able, we are not an implementer, we are a funder. And so we have hotels and restaurants from a business standpoint being able to collaborate with each other because they don't compete on the sale of their water. We also have NGOs and charities being able to collaborate with each other because we have a fund that is there that everybody can partake in. We make the grant system not very onerous, and so we've created a collaboration platform so people can share best practices. Because unlike something like AIDS, where ARVs are a medicine that everyone can take, the water crisis is very complex. And every geography and every situation is very different. So there is not a one-size-fits-all on that. So collaboration is a big part of it. And then lastly, these are, sorry I'm going so fast, but these are a few of kind of the rules that we've set at Motive, is kind of celebrate the different. I mean, I think people get used to doing the same thing, especially when you're in business, get used to doing the same thing over and over again. Embrace the crazy is a rule that I set for myself. I can tend to be very rational, and I need to be pushed to crazy every day because it is only with that that we really can kind of find innovative and new models. Break the old rules, you know what that means. Don't talk, do. And I think there are incredible people and incredible ideas out there. There are very few people that have the courage to go out and do them. And I think that that is action over words every time. As you can tell, it's not my favorite thing to do, to talk in front of people. Encourage a new way of thinking, challenge everything, be positively positive. I think be nice. We are very lucky to be born where we're born, to have the access that we have. I think at RED, we always talked about RED was about justice, not charity, because if I had AIDS and I lived in Brooklyn, I could have access to ARVs. If I had AIDS and I lived in Ghana, even if I had the money, I wouldn't be able to get the access to it. So this is about justice. Respect differences. And approach the uniqueness of the challenge. At Motive, everyone says, what's your process? We actually don't have a process. We look for the solution to the challenge that we face. And if you have a process every time, you might forget the kind of uniqueness out there and the what ifs. Be bold. And I think the last one is leave a legacy. Change legacy thinking, but leave a legacy and leave your mark. So thank you very much.